But all right, we got the boring.
In that way, we won't have to do another video.
Okay.
Jared, are we ready?
We're recording.
We're recording now.
We're live.
You know, Pastor, a lot of times you and me.
They hear all this secret conversation.
Well, no, they're not going to hear any of that.
Oh,
Here's the
okay.
thing, like a lot of times Pastor and I get here early, and the stuff that we talk about would light y'all's hair on fire.
I'm telling you.
And
Y'all would be
it is
screaming.
the camera is purposefully off. There's no way that we would let any innocent ears hear that stuff. Today was different. Today we got here early and had maybe the most boring conversation we've ever had before this started.
No,
Oh, you
I've
liked
never
it?
had a boring conversation with you.
Now that was very kind of you. Good morning, Pat.
That's my good deed for the day. There
That's
you go.
the one compliment. I'm all filled up now. Last week on the recap here, it was unprecedented. I think it was the first time in a very long time, maybe ever, that it was not you or me on the podcast at all. It was Patrick and Giles. And
Yeah, I saw a snippet of that. They did pretty well.
well, I would like to say that it's uneventful, but unfortunately, Giles reignited, pun intended, a years-long controversy here among the staff.
Oh my stars.
2 years long? It's a
What is
two-year
that?
controversy.
What controversy is that?
He called me a redhead. It's still,
did he
it's still
really?
happened. Yeah, it's still happening. Is this a
He was
thing?
called a ginger by a ginger, which has taken this
Yes.
several nights.
It takes one to know one, Pastor. Have I been a redhead my whole life? I've been a
I don't know. I'll be honest. I've never thought about it.
We need you to weigh in right now.
I don't.
Not.
No.
That's never crossed. So that's why I keep looking. I'm looking up.
Okay. Anyway, we'll let people weigh in on the comments, that sort of thing. I'm sure I'll get some text messages. Here's one. I need to talk about one more thing. Is it before we get to the more important stuff? So was Giles sitting here last week?
Yeah.
Giles, did you break this stool?
Look.
This is
Oh
broken.
my goodness.
Well, I fixed it. I guess it wasn't that big of a deal. Okay. Never mind, Giles.
There you go.
I turned it around. Now I can break it on the other side.
Well, Giles is redheaded, isn't he?
I think so.
I
Is
mean,
he
he looks
albino?
like he just stepped out of a Viking ship.
I'll start another rumor that Giles is an albino. Can I not do that? Jared, cut all this out.
He looked like he just stepped out of a Viking ship, or from Scotland
I
or
thought
Ireland.
I figured the cover would be me hitting Pastor with that stool, like WWE style.
Oh,
Apparently,
just a regular day at the office.
I know you and me talk wrestling a lot. There's this huge new documentary on Vince McMahon. The
Really?
commissioner. Yeah, I think it's on Netflix. I don't have Netflix, but maybe somebody can. Dylan, you want to share your Netflix login with me?
Sure.
Yeah,
You don't,
just
you
tell
don't
Netflix.
have one, do you?
Tell
He
Netflix
doesn't have
that.
one. He doesn't have one. Netflix, we're sharing logins.
I tell you what, since we're talking about all of that,
Sure.
DirecTV is just, man, DirecTV
They're
and
not doing good?
Disney,
Well, they
they're in
settled
such.
it though.
Did they settle
They
it?
settled it on like Friday night, I think.
Boy, I'm telling you what's the truth. They did that to my wife in college football. Oh, my stars.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I know anything about it is because they did that. They did it to my mother-in-law.
We were in a hotel room somewhere, I can't even remember.
And she couldn't watch Clemson.
And she couldn't see Clemson that night. And
She's about
she
to
just
lose
said, I'm done with DirecTV. YouTube TV, here I come.
Did she
And
change over?
Yes. I mean, no family discussion, let's see what the husband would like to do. No, we've got to get the Clemson game right now. So she did.
So she canceled it. She's on to YouTube, so it's
YouTube
And so
TV.
all of your recorded episodes of the Andy Griffith Show,
No,
all the
I can-
Gunsmoke reruns, it's all gone now, or can you
No,
get it back?
no, I get those different places. I go and pull I don't know where, but I get them from somewhere.
Well,
Gunsmoke is good. That is a good television
I
show.
tell you what-
I tell you what I'm watching.
Tell me.
Rewatching.
Perry Mason.
No, Murdoch Mysteries.
Oh, okay.
Canadian
yeah, I know you're a big
TV.
mystery guy. Yes. See, there's some proof
Eh?
that the Canadians are good for something, eh? Murdoch Mysteries, eh? I'm So how you want to give us a review on Murdoch Mystery?
Oh, I love them. I think it's great. It's good TV. It's good, clean television.
Good old-fashioned family fun where somebody gets killed in every episode.
Yeah, you know, except for the murder, it's pretty clean.
Well, I used to love the Diagnosis Murder with Dick
Yeah.
Van Dyke. I would watch that one as a kid.
Can you believe that guy's still acting?
It's
I saw
amazing.
a picture of him the other day where he was talking about, I'm looking for a job, you know. Everybody just died.
Well, I read it was the behind the scenes notes because it was a couple years ago we watched that Mary Poppins Returns movie and he was in it and it was really him. He was hilarious. And at the end, he jumps up on the desks and starts like tap dancing on the and I was like, that's got to be a stunt double. I look it up. No, it was actually him. He's like 95 years old.
He and Tom Cruise.
I can't believe. Yeah, that's a little known fact that Tom Cruise is actually in his late 80s. People don't even realize this, but they've got
whoever does his
the
plastic
surgery is excellent.
Really good.
Excellent. We need to get them.
This reminds me, and I'm ashamed to say that I saw it. Two Men on Movies.
What is that? Is that a thing?
Oh, that was from
Ebert and Roper, or
no.
Siskel and Ebert.
No,
it's something else.
And it was really pretty.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll cut that part out too.
Yeah,
lots being cut out of the show.
We're talking
today.
about movies.
So you've got YouTube TV now. My mother-in-law. So it's football season.
Yes.
So my in-laws are in town almost every weekend because they use our house as their football hotel on their way to the Auburn games. And so on Friday night, it's always Perry Mason now. We got Perry Mason, and I had never watched it before.
It's good.
I love it.
It is good.
You want to talk about good, clean family fun? It's awesome. It's amazing. Well, the other funny thing, and we've talked about this before, how like everybody on that show, the men, the women, even they all sound like chain smokers. Because I think they were. Everyone was just
probably.
Constantly. Yeah. But then the other one, and this has been now my show with my mother-in-law for years, is Blue Bloods. You ever watch that one?
I
with
have
Tom
never
Selleck?
seen that. Everybody tells me it's a great show, but
It is so. I've only seen. She's always like, "So did you watch it?" I'm like, "Were you at my house?"
yeah.
No. Well, then no, I didn't. I only watch it with you, so I've probably seen like 9 episodes now. But it's which is more. That's a lot more than I normally watch.
It is football season. Clemson had a very good day.
Did
Saturday.
they do? I didn't see.
Very good day. They had a bye. So it was a very good day.
So why
for
is she
Clemson.
all into the YouTube? So this was 2
Well,
weeks ago.
yesterday was the Cowboys were playing the Saints and just got spanked.
I'm
It
sorry.
was just ugly.
Do you need a pillow?
Ugly.
Do you need to just?
And the Jaguars got spanked pretty bad too.
It was not a good. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I am so irritated with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of them, Pastor. It was 5 touchdowns against their defense. I was like, surely this is like a pick six and all this. No, they just
can't
kept
believe it.
marching down the field.
They did.
Well, the Ravens are 0-2 as well, so it's just a bad year.
Welcome to the club.
Are the Broncos 0-2? The Broncos are doing terrible. Is there anybody that likes a good football team in this room? Auburn's awful this year as well.
Hey,
Dylan's a Bammer back there. He's enjoying himself.
Just give Freeze a chance. Give him a chance. That's a good man, and he's a good coach.
Well, okay.
Give him a season or two.
Well,
and-
he's had 1 season.
Well, give him 2.
Okay, we're going to give him 2 seasons. Sorry, Hugh Freeze. I know he's a loyal watcher of the show. I apologize for getting it. Sorry,
Good guy.
Sorry,
good guy.
Coach Freeze.
Fine
Well-
Christian man.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that about. I need to look more into
he's
these
a real
things.
he's a real fine Christian man.
So we had a good Sunday yesterday. You were back. I had been out on vacation all week, but I felt like it was my duty to come back for Sunday.
It was.
So we had the children literally, and it was the.
And they did a great
They
job.
did an excellent job.
Did a really good job. Those ladies that work with those kids just know how to.
And that's what
Bring it out of them.
that's what I wanted to say, because Amanda Tuck, Michelle Magny, and I know that Lindsay Cruz has been helping out soon. Like, they are on those kids. They're working them hard.
Yeah.
And Amanda yesterday was directing them so well. They were right on beat. Josh Pike has got. You can actually hear him now. There's no feedback. It was just
Josh,
like
that was
thumbs up
you
all
could,
around.
that when is Josh? He's not even in here. Well, I won't even compliment him.
Okay.
But they sounded really good.
That was really strong. And then So that was it was just a good day, and then obviously
I get that little Barrett, Caleb's boy.
I love him. Yeah.
Barrett standing, he'll cut his eyes over there at me,
His
and
mouth
I'll
is
wink at him like
so-
that. I'll wink at him, he'll go. Oh gosh.
I watched it for a couple minutes this morning, and it was like, yeah, his mouth was so wide, he knows
he's intense.
he knows how to. Yeah, he doesn't do anything halfway.
No,
So,
no.
yeah, Barrett Gibson, excellent work. And then obviously, well, I hope it was obvious. You preached yesterday.
Yeah.
Really easy subject matter
Oh my
yesterday.
gosh. I'm so glad I'm through
You're
that.
done with that one.
Oh, stars.
Pastors.
That is a tough passage to deal with. Everybody is very familiar with it. Everybody knows it. And, what are you going to say? If you skip it, everybody sits out there and thinks, you're a wimp.
Yeah.
And then when you deal with it, they all sit there and they are as silent
Yes.
as church mice,
Yeah, there weren't too many amens yesterday. You had to amen. for 'em
Nobody
sometimes.
wanted to even hardly breathe through the thing.
So the passage was Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Obviously, there's just a lot of implications or applications for like sexuality and how it applies to our culture today. Adultery, of course, but you said a couple things at the outset that were really important, and I said this to my wife yesterday because you kind of called out our perspective, where people are like, "Oh, we don't want the pastor to talk about sex," and you're like, "But everybody else is."
Let Budweiser talk about it, let J-Lo talk about it.
Right.
Sure.
Or in the
we'll let our
public
kids sit
schools.
around and listen to that stuff, MTV.
Right.
But, if the preacher ever says anything, oh my Lord, have mercy. He's gone too far now.
Well, but you said, and even more importantly, this is the kind of stuff that's in all the curriculum in the public schools right now.
Yes,
So it's like,
yeah.
are we going to talk about this? Are we going to combat that perspective or not?
You know what? I will say this because I started to say it, but I didn't say it yesterday. Years ago, back when Courtney was in, and I can't remember the grade, they released a thing, we're going to teach sex education
Right,
and no
right.
student will be dismissed and da-da-da-da-da,
Oh, my gosh.
and we're covering all this thing. So I went down there to the meeting, and I just got up and walked up there and looked at I guess he was the head of schools, and I told him, I said, my child's not going to do this. She's not going to sit in here. She's not going to go through it. She's not going to listen to this stuff that you're about to try to pour into her head. Well, I'm sorry, sir. She's going to have to stay in here. I said, well, I'm sorry, sir. That's my child, and I'll make the determination on that. And
This was in one of those public meetings?
yeah, but I did not do that publicly.
Yeah.
I approached him. Yeah, there were some folks standing around, but I just said I'm not going to do it. And
So
I
what
don't-
happened
I
after
could care.
that?
Well, she didn't do it.
Right. My parents did the same thing. I remember not even knowing why, but like once every couple of months, they'd give me like the hall pass and I'd go to the library for an hour.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it was like second grade and they're talking about stuff I didn't
I can't
understand.
remember. I think that's probably what they did with her, but the whole thing was we are not dismissing any child. Every child will go through this. I said, well, that's fine. If parents want their children to go through it, fine. Mine's not.
Yeah. And you had to advocate in that way.
Yes, I did. Now, I was not hateful or,
Sure.
I just was firm. My child's not going to do it. And I think if more Christians would take an active role in
Right.
getting involved in that, we would probably see some things turn around. But when we just sit back and do nothing and we let everybody else rear our, being a parent means you're going to be uncomfortable sometimes. You're going to have to be, you're going to have to sacrifice, and we're willing to sacrifice money for them, but we're never willing to stick our neck out on the line unless, somebody does something. Listen, when I came through, my daddy informed the entire school system and everybody in the neighborhood, if you need to get a hold of him and whoop him, do it. And then let me know, and he'll get another dose of it when he gets home. Well, today,
That's
if
old
you
school.
look at a child wrong, it is, lawsuit. I'm sorry. What were we talking about? Oh, you were.
Well,
It's just crazy.
that just made me laugh because yesterday I shouldn't even tell this story, but yesterday I had to take some of the kids with me because I had to go to Lowe's, and you
Yeah.
can never go to Lowe's one time, and
Yeah.
by the second or third time, you're just same thing with Home Depot. You're just so frustrated.
Yeah.
Because I was fixing a shelf. We have too much stuff on a shelf, as you might imagine. The shelf's falling down. I got to go fix the shelf, and so I'm in there trying to put things together, and meanwhile behind me, my kids are like juggling boxes of mothballs and, like squirting out Gorilla Glue in the aisle and all this stuff, and I'm just losing my mind. And finally, I turned around. Miraculously, there was a paint paddle laying there,
Yeah.
and so I discipline all of them. I sit them down, and all I can think of is like, whoever's watching this security footage is in for a real treat.
Yeah.
Because that was hilarious. But anyway,
That's what my dad would do. Whatever he could get his hands on. Hammer, here. Paint, paint stir stick, a
blowtorch.
limb, blowtorch.
Chainsaw.
Yeah.
So you were talking about how like the sexual ethic of the culture, like the culture is constantly trying to teach our kids one way, and we can't be passive to that. That's
No.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's what this message was about, and towards the end, I guess there's a lot of fine points that I guess we could go to. Well, let's do one textual point, and then I want to talk some more about the application that you
Okay.
gave. The one textual point that I have always missed up until this very moment was that the head executioner did not execute Joseph
Yeah.
when he was accused of adultery with his wife.
That's why I personally think he's mad at his wife here and not at Joseph. I think he knows Joseph, and I think he knows his
He
wife.
knows his wife. Yeah.
And I think he put two and two together and he said, hey, I've been through this before. I know this. I want to tell you something I found to be really interesting, and I know these are not comfortable things. In verse 10, it says, she spoke to Joseph day after day, and he
Right.
did not listen to her, to lie beside her or to be with her. Now, you got two different things going on there. One, to lie beside her intimates that it's an emotional attachment.
Oh, okay.
The other, to be with her, is a physical
yeah.
attachment. So he would not even meet her emotional need, which she, in my opinion, she was extremely emotionally needy. And I go back to that because, like I said yesterday, from time to time, I'll say to Debbie, golly, I cannot believe he left his good-looking wife for that woman.
Yeah.
What in the world is he thinking? And she'll always say, it's not the physical, it is the emotional.
Right, and men also
Men
have
have
emotional.
emotional needs that
Sure.
they want met, and so do women.
Right.
I'm not denying women. I know the emotional needs that men have, but women have emotional needs too. So you've got two emotionally needy people. That's where the whole thesis statement, circumstances get out of control, but you don't have to. All these circumstances got out of control.
Well, and he wouldn't have been able to say no to that temptation if he had not decided
Yes,
beforehand.
yeah, you have to decide ahead of time.
You just have to make that determination. Because you even talked about that, how like in that situation, it's a shock.
Yeah.
Like when someone says out loud these things that should not be said
Yeah,
out loud.
yeah.
Not to mention they're sinful. Just like
Yeah.
what do you do in that situation? Well, you can only respond correctly if you've
Made your mind up
made your
ahead of
mind up
time.
ahead of time.
Now, I don't mean you have to think through, what if this particular, I'm not talking about that, but that you've made a resolution in your heart to live as godly a life as you can
Yeah.
with the aid of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
You've resolved that. Now, we all fall, we all sin, we all make mistakes. You pray and hope I don't make this kind of mistake, that I don't give in to that, but it's real temptation, and I keep going back to the fact this is an 18-year-old boy.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I call him a boy. He's an 18-year-old young man.
Talk-
Everybody's a boy to me these days, but he's 18, 19. Yeah, I mean, he's in the prime
Yeah.
of his,
Virility?
yes.
Yeah, it's difficult.
That-
difficult at that age to
And
say
so
no to temptation.
you've got to just figure all this in. And that's why I said yesterday, I can't remember which, why do I believe the Bible is true? Because it puts stories in there like this.
Yes, it doesn't
Because
shy
if
away
I
from
were
it.
writing the Bible, I would not have put this in there.
Yeah, try to protect Joseph's image or
Yeah,
something
I don't
like
think
that.
I would put that in there. I just don't want to deal with that kind of thing.
Right, right.
And yet the Bible is so explicit.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being explicit, I want to know how we can rightly think about the Mishnah, because you brought that up. These are like rabbinical teachings, thousands of years old. It's not canonical, though.
No.
But so
It-
how do we think
it's
about
not. It's not. My wife is waving at
Oh,
me
okay.
through the doorway.
that? She needs to come on in.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it. We've
You
got
got
a
to
couple
record
of
a
things.
video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We need
And-
to wrap this up then. Well,
and-
talk to us about the Mishnah for a second.
The Mishnah is just rabbinic, old ancient rabbinic commentary on the Old Testament, where they come up with just wild stuff.
Yeah.
I could not tell you on this thing
Yeah.
some of the things that they said in there. You can get on there and read it, but one of the things that they did was talking about how she covered up.
Right.
They
You
would
mentioned
have
that.
they are called in the Old Testament teraphim. You remember, was it Rebecca that had a teraphim or Rachel? I can never keep Rebecca and Rachel straight. It was Rebecca
Is
that
this
had a
somewhere-
teraphim. There was a teraphim in the house of Michael and David. You remember, he puts the teraphim in the bed and she puts the goat hair on top of it and covers it up and trying to fool the soldiers thinking it's David.
Right.
Well, so they've got an idol that's there in the house, and she covers it up with her clothes and says, "There, the gods can't see now."
Right.
Why did I get off? on
Because
that?
you're
What were
talking
you
about
asking?
what the Mishnah is saying.
Oh, so that comes out of the Mishnah. We're not told that in Scripture. So I do not take the Mishnah as inspired.
Well, I can see.
but it's interesting stuff to read.
Well, I can see why you brought it up because that, in a sense, it like helps us understand this is not this was a serious temptation for Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman was unhinged in some way, and I feel like that. But yeah, that is strange. The kind of commentary that they come up and that somehow has been preserved for thousands of years.
Yeah,
I'd like to read
I'll
more
tell
about
you a good one that I think may hit around some truth.
that. Okay.
That in the Jonah story,
Oh, okay.
they tell the Mishnah says the rabbis say that the storm was only around Jonah's boat.
Oh, interesting.
And that they could see the other ships in calm water. And that's what was freaking them out. Not that the storm was horrific.
Yeah.
But they could see it was only around their boat.
Wow.
That's from the Mishnah. Now that's an interesting point of view. So you never know when you look at the Mishnah, and I just got it on my mind that morning, I'm going to see what the rabbis say
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, it makes me want to look into it more. I want to dive
It's
into
just
some-
kind of curious.
Well, we can finish it up here. It's not a super positive thing, but I wanted to just give light to that application you made at the end, just with
Yeah.
regards to premarital sex in general. And you just talked about how over the course of your 40-odd years of ministry,
Yeah.
you've seen it ruin relationships,
Oh, yeah.
even the relationships that eventually end in marriage.
Yeah.
It's a difficult
Now,
obstacle to
now, it
overcome.
doesn't always.
Right.
But let me tell you, a couple has to deal with it and get that thing settled and out the way. And it usually takes a lot of conflict and frustration out of the marriage because they drag that guilt and that frustration and some of those feelings of distrust
Right, right.
and suspicion into marriage. And they'll never understand, well, why are we like this at one another? Well, it has to do with how you started your relationship off.
Wow.
And that's the thing is that when they cross that line, you get there, you no longer are building into the relationship the way you should in those dating years. Of just discovering and finding out who are you.
You have a
And-
relationship beyond
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I want to know about you, and I want to know about, everything about you, and you work on the relationship until you cross that line.
I thought that was helpful, and you had even more explanation on it in the message. So as always, if you haven't checked out the message yet, it's on YouTube. Really important notes on a difficult subject to preach. Where are you going this week,
I'm
Pastor?
finishing out chapter 39 because 19 through 23 is pretty interesting. And
When he goes to prison?
when he goes to prison, you see in verse 21, this is the point that I wanted to leave everybody with, because all of us have experienced being accused of things we did not do.
Sure.
Now that was kind of the second point I was
Right,
trying.
you're right, yeah.
That don't judge immediate response. Don't judge your future on an immediate response in a situation. I don't understand why somebody's blaming me for that. I don't know why I've been accused of this. I don't know why people are saying this about me. And the point that I wanted to leave was, but the Lord was with Joseph.
Amen. Yeah, and that's echoed then in that Acts 7.
Acts 7:9, the last words. Yet, God was with Joseph.
Friends, you can remember that this message with the Joseph, in the Joseph series, is also part of our emphasis on the Joseph Project. And as we get closer to our commitment day for the Joseph Project, we'll be talking more about how Joseph stored up those resources in Egypt. And that's going to take us almost all the way through the end of the year. We'll wrap it up right before we
Close to
switch
it,
into
yeah,
the Christmas
yeah.
season.
Yeah. This Sunday, I'm going to start talking about God's preparation of Joseph.
Cool.
You've gotten all this horrible stuff, just one thing after another, after
Yeah.
another, after another. And now, you get it about as low as you can go. Literally, he is in a pit in the
Right.
ground.
Right.
So he's as low as he can go. He's in God's school of preparation.
I like it. I'm looking forward to it.
No fun. There's not a whole lot of fun in it, but it is a way to understand what God's doing in your life.
A lot to look forward to this Sunday. We've also got Iglesia Valley Deal with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
we do? This
Yeah.
coming Sunday?
I think they might even be translating your message. We need to talk to Andres about that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they'll be with us, and we're going to hear a story from the Pardo family and some
Good.
baptism. So it's going to be a good day.
Good. Yeah, that will be a good day.
But we got to sign off now because you got more videos to do. Got meetings to get to. Miss Debbie's waiting outside.
Yes.
See you guys on Wednesday night. Say goodbye, Pastor.
Goodbye, Pastor. Goodbye, Pastor.